try not to get in those guys' way.
What's up, y'all? We're live. Tonight we're hanging out with our buddy JT Lang. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing?
And we're chilling out here on the podcast. He is the 2025 TBF National Champion winner. And we're going to go over some of his accomplishments and what he plans on doing this year. And
his experience out with that. And a little bit about his. I'd like to know a little bit about his background. You know, I've fished with JT for quite a few years in the TBF, but didn't really know him too much before that. Know he's fished a lot, but yeah. So we'll get into some of that. We also have our tactical trivia brought to you by Tactical Fishing Company.
Tactical fishing.
So we'll have that around 8:00.
Tactical fishing.
Tune in for that. Chance to win a $25 gift card to the Tactical Fishing website. And let's get into this. Tell us a little about it.
Obviously, hold up real quick before we get into it. Obviously, we're wearing our merch from old JCS Marine from last week. You got us all fixed up with the merch.
Heck yeah.
Been rocking that about all week long. Pumped for that.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, let's get in. So, tell us a little bit. How'd you get into fishing?
I grew up in Rumsey Island. So I grew up on the quarry, which everybody fishes gunpowder knows the quarry. So easy to get hooked on bass fishing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not what it used to be, but man, fishing from the bank like everybody else, you know.
What got you into tournament fishing?
Just because we like bass fishing so much. Dave Kilby had brought a tournament trail to Mariner Point Park, and of course we're like, we grew up fishing the quarry. We're not gonna fish these things, you know. We had success doing it, and from then we fished. I fished as many tournaments as I possibly can.
So you had some immediate success doing it?
Yeah, and it was nice. I mean, it was for us. I guess you don't never call it easy, but it was comfortable because we got to fish what we've been fishing our whole life. You know,
because I had the opposite experience when I got into tournament fishing. I got my ass handed to me.
I gotcha.
You know, and bank again. You know, you came up bank fishing and everything, and then you realize how much you don't know, right?
Yeah, for
sometimes,
sure. But yeah, before then I'd never been on the flats, never been up, never been up, Havre de Grace. So that was a learning experience when we started traveling and going up to there. But it's not too different.
No, the whole bay fishes, Potomac, they all fish.
Learning the tidal thing's a huge deal. You understand that it definitely helps you.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I've said this for quite a while. I feel like the guys who came up tidal fishing have an advantage anywhere over the guys that don't, because you don't. And this is just my theory, right? You don't get so spun out when you're not catching them. Yeah, because you're used to waiting, you're used to waiting for the tide, right? You wait for like I know the tide needs to get right. It's going to be slow for, the next few hours. And when the tide gets right, I'm going to catch him. And I feel like that translates over into, like even fishing a lake.
Absolutely.
Where, you're like, it's okay. Well, I just need to get into this, or, you can process it a little bit better than, the people who didn't grow up fishing that tough. I think it's just because it's tough fishing, right? Yeah. So it was just something
I don't disagree. We go hours without catching fish sometimes.
Right?
And then it can happen in a half an hour.
Yeah, just like I was telling you with me and Kevin the other day.
Yeah.
We struggled all day, and we had less than 10 pounds for our best 5, and then in an hour we catch 19, over 19 pounds and 25 fish.
Yeah,
it's just it was like a light switch. So yeah, totally
I think it's nice though that we know the time to look for though. Because some of these other places, just a regular river or whatever, if they're not pulling current, like when I was in Darnell, like it was an afternoon bite. When I pre-practiced and the whole way through the tournament, everything was like an afternoon thing. You're just waiting around. It's like, didn't really know if it was going to be 10 o'clock or 1 o'clock, but here at least we get the chance to I know what the window I'm shooting for. 100%. Yeah.
Like I know it's going to be 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I can pretty much pick out what the best.
This is going to be the best time of the day to go fish right here.
Yeah.
So, for our guys watching, JT won the 2025 TBF National Championship on Lake Dardanelle in Arkansas, right?
Arkansas. Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about that. How'd you qualify? What'd you do to qualify? What was your experience there? Just kind of give us a rundown on how that whole thing went and how you ended up, getting into that position for, the big national level win, really.
Yeah, well, you're our tournament director for the TBF of Maryland. We fish the 5 tournaments, and you fish all 5. There's a state team that you make, and then you get to go fish the regional, which is against Delaware and DC. That last year was on the Potomac, which, man, I hate the Potomac. It's never treated me well. This is like one of the first tournaments I ever kind of consider winning was this year. And I put a lot of time in there. I was working 410s, and I was going there every single Friday when I was off work to try to learn that place.
I remember having a conversation
with the best schedule.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm trying to get back into that for sure. Yeah.
I remember having a conversation with you after one of the Thursday nighters.
Yeah,
talking about I struggle on the I really struggle
Yeah.
on the Potomac. Like I'm not, and we were talking about the semifinal, and you're like, oh, I'm not I'm not that confident down there, and. And you said then, and you're like, I'm just going to put in as much time as I can down there, and I mean that paid off for you, big time.
Yeah, and that was a tough tournament.
That was a tough tournament.
That regional
I didn't think it was going to be a tough tournament.
Yeah,
Dude, practice was stupid.
I know we had a really good practice as well, but I mean that's that September fishing. Like it's usually tough, man. They're on the move.
The weather changed, and it shut that bike down.
Yep.
I mean, I thought
got a bunch of rain. Everything was muddy. Finding clean water in that tournament was a big deal.
I thought in practice in that tournament that it was going to take 20 pounds a day to win.
Yeah, we had good.
We were catching fours and 5s. Frank caught a 6. I mean, just random places. We're not beating anything up. I mean, we're practicing like we should. You catch one here and it's a 6-pounder. We go to another spot, you catch one's 5-pounder, and that was crazy. So anyway, you won for Maryland on that in that one. You ended up pretty good overall too, didn't you?
I was 5th overall.
5th overall.
Yeah. That was my second time winning. I also won and got to go to Lake of the Ozarks, so that was my second time good on nationals. They were both really good experiences. I didn't do that well in the Lake of the Ozarks, different fishery than Darnell. I feel blessed that I went out there in pre-practice and found grass and stuff that I'm comfortable fishing.
Yeah,
that's a huge. That's a huge reason for it.
I feel like that's key with a lot of these national level tournaments is finding something you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because if you're not comfortable, it doesn't matter where you're fishing. If you're not comfortable with what you're doing
and confident,
it's a downhill. It's an uphill battle.
It's hard to overcome for sure.
Dan, Dustin, John, Lenny, Jim, what's up, fellas? Thank you guys for joining the show. Dustin made a decent comment. It says, as someone who grew up fishing tidal water, where it's obviously more shallow, that deeper water on the lakes is a lot more intimidating. I can agree to that. Going to Lake Anna, it was like, what the do I do right now?
I guess for me, I've spent so much time smallmouth fishing that deep water doesn't intimidate me. I'm used to catching smallmouth out of 25, 35 feet of water. So, but even locally, on Lake Conowingo, I'm used to, just used to that. And I've fished Conowingo probably more than I've fished a bay in my life, for sure.
Gotcha, not me at all. Yeah, the deep water is intimidating for me. I like fishing shallow. Give me near some grass. That's what I'm comfortable doing.
Do that. I mean, I
do
don't
think
get me wrong.
I do think even
Conowingo.
I do think even Conowingo is intimidating at times because especially if they're not up on the shore, they're out in 40 feet of water, if not more.
Well, and that Conowingo is a good place. It's actually a good place to learn how to fish some of these other lakes, like if you go to Kentucky Lake or something like that. It's a whole different class of fish.
It's not
but
tidal
fish
dependent.
is very
either.
similar. Well, it's not tidal dependent.
It's man-made.
It's man-made power. It's power generation dependent.
Exactly.
Which is just like your Kentucky lakes and your Wheelers and stuff like that. They're all power generation lakes. So that does give you a local place that you can go to to practice for some of those.
Good point. Yep.
But okay, so where were we? So you qualified through the semifinals from Maryland. You win your you're going to the national championship, but TBF likes to they like to wait a while and keep you in suspense, right?
Yeah, they do.
Tell you where you're going.
Yeah, it wasn't till the first week of December is when I found out. So yeah, that was a few months of waiting.
And you qualified, and it was September when you qualified. So 3 months.
Yep.
You had 3 months to to stew on it and wonder where you're going. Hope
Agreed.
like please be here, please be here,
Or
yeah?
please not be
Or
here.
It's like,
You
it's
know,
like
there's
please
a
be on
couple-
Gunnersville.
Yeah, somewhere where there's some grass or a river system or something that I can,
Something
kinda relate to.
Yeah, exactly.
Josh's champion. They're working on it right now.
Oh, nice.
How sick does that
That
look?
is pretty sick. So
JCS restored his champion.
Where's this at?
JCS Marines up in Rhode Island.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, they're the people that did Tony's bullet. Yeah, they do amazing work.
yeah, they're really good. So you find out it's at Dardanelle. You know,
Joe,
it's,
what's up, brother? Check
know-
your messages, bro.
you know it's in it's on Dardanelle in Arkansas. You know what's how do you prepare for that? Like, or how did you prepare for that, knowing that it's it's a 20-hour drive, or 19 hours, something like 18 hours. It's someplace you've never seen. How what goes through your mind to prepare for that?
Yeah, I mean, I started looking on YouTube, looking for videos of tournaments. That's how it started. And then obviously then you go to the map and Google Earth, and I used all of that. Studied it, for a few months because I went out there and pre-practice. It's a they call it a lake, but it's really an extension of the Arkansas River.
Okay.
Still a river. Like only like kind of close to where the launch ramp is. Like that's got like lake stuff, but that and 75% of the lake is a river. So a lot of shallow stuff. You want to go out there. It's not like when I went before.
Jim, call Scott Martin for info. That's my
We knew it was coming.
Gotcha.
Jim's a Florida guy. He's not a huge Scott Martin.
Oh, I gotcha.
So
Yeah, that's cool.
so you did your YouTube search. You did some map search. How much did that play into like your practice and being able to to locate some fish?
It was everything really because I was looking. I knew the time of year and through research finding out when they really spawn. The heavy spawns are there, and it was near where we were going.
Yeah.
So I knew what I was going to do, or I thought what I was going to do in pre-practice wasn't going to really stick because the temperature came up 15 degrees in a month's time.
Sure.
So like I thought it was going to be a lot farther along than it ended up being. But those fish, they didn't move far. They stayed in the same creek. But yeah, it played in everything. It's like looking at the Navionics apps, trying to find flooded timber next to submerged vegetation, right in front of pockets, like typical pattern that
Right.
you want to try to
Find
at
those-
least start with. Yeah.
Like pre-spawn staging areas.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah, but
Yeah,
a lot of those places were super shallow. So going out there pre-fishing, like not like when I went to Lake of the Ozarks, we were driving in 60, 80 feet the whole
Right.
time. Like this was a shallow.
And
I
there's-
see a lot of videos of people ripping their skegs off, and I've had a few problems with that as well. So like I know that you got to go out there and putt around at first to figure out how to get into some of these places.
Did you see mine
know?
after the Potomac?
What's that?
Did you see mine after the Potomac?
No,
I
I
sat
didn't.
down on a rock pile.
Yeah,
It did not take you very long to rip the skeg off of that
No.
boat after you brought it home.
So I knocked a chunk out of the skeg like a month after I got the boat.
He had the boat for 3 weeks. Took a chunk out.
This
I
year,
tore my lower
this
unit
year,
off for 10 hours on a brand new boat.
this year,
Yeah, on the
Damn.
flats.
this year, first tournament. I'm up in DC, right? And we're going to the spot that Frank's trying to like guide me into. He's like, "Yeah, well, let's go check. We're gonna go check out this spot." He's like, "Yeah, you should be good there." And I'm like, not paying attention to my map. I'm looking at what's in front of me. And he's like, "Yeah, you should probably sit down here." And I sat down and it just went like right across a rock pile. But he just looks at me. He's like, "Do you know how many times I scanned this looking for that rock pile and I've never found it?" It's like, well, I got a mark for you. But anyway,
Yeah, man.
Where did you rip your shit off at?
On the flats, in the middle of the flat, was a log.
yeah.
The Dundee tournament, I drove all the way back. My boat, the motor sounded so bad, but it got me back, luckily.
Oh, that's
Last-
when you. I mean, you.
That was
you
brand
didn't
new
knock the
boat,
skeg
10
off.
hours.
You destroyed your
Yeah,
lure.
yeah, completely cracked the house and
yeah.
everything. I had to.
Oh my
claim it
God.
with
There was a hole
insurance.
with the house.
It let me get back to Dundee from up on the flats.
Somehow.
though. Yeah,
I have no
know.
idea how.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
With
At
no
35,
oil or
30,
anything left
35
in it,
miles
like-
an hour. That's how.
The water-
It wouldn't let me go any faster than that.
The water was cooling the gears.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was trash.
There was a hole, if I remember right. There was a hole in your lower
Yeah,
unit.
absolutely
Like,
was. Yeah,
Like, and when I say a hole, I don't mean like, oh yeah, no, it was a hole.
ran that part of the flat 100 times.
Right.
I never hit.
That's what-
anything.
that's what
it's just
happened-
How it goes sometimes.
That's what happened to me when I got my boat. I was I was running in, to the, the canal right by the duck blinds, right? To go back to, like, to Days Cove, running across that flat. I've ran it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I've never hit anything there.
Yeah.
Nope. First time I've decided to take my new boat in there, whack.
Yep, that's how it goes. I've always missed the skeg.
I was really impatient yesterday. Went fishing with Scuba Steve and Caitlin, and we went back towards the quarry. And I hate idling across that mud flat back into the channel. Like, I just can hate it. But you know that if you run that mud flat, there's a significant chance you're going to nail something.
Yeah.
And
I putt into the quarry. I don't run into the quarry.
yeah,
I always putt. I'll run into Dave's Cove, but I'm always gonna.
I'm the same way.
I'm gonna putt in the quarry.
Back to the
different.
pond, ran
I've ripped
all
off
the way
loads,
back,
done
all
that
the way
too.
to the end of the channel, and somehow didn't hit anything. However, the tide was pretty high yesterday.
It was different when I had the Champion. When I had the Champion, it's a $10,000 boat with with an older motor on it. It's like, I'm sending it across that flat.
Tom Irvin, what stump are we talking about? Because there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of stuff out there on the flats. If you're talking about the stump, I have that waypoint too.
A lot of it changes too.
There's
It's added to.
Now there's a stump out there that's like rooted in, like it's like a tree that's been cut off.
Huh.
So it
In
pays
the
to know
middle
where
of the
that's at.
flats?
Yes. It pays to know where that one is.
Shoot me a message.
So, all right. So we've gotten up to like your pre-practice. So tell me how you like what your plan was for pre-practice.
Well, it was still pre-spawn. The water temperature was like low to mid 50s when we got there in pre-practice. It warmed up a little bit through the 4 days we were there, but we started in near the ramp. It's called Illinois Bayou. It has like a couple like deep pits, and it's more looks like a lake than the rest of the river. And I didn't catch any fish the first day. My brother caught one that was like 6. And then we went back out there the next day. I didn't catch anything again, and my brother caught one that was like 5.5. So I'm like, all right, well, I mean, it's cool that you're catching them, but like, I gotta be catching them. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta get some confidence on what to do around here.
Right.
You know? So, I had marked a bunch of waypoints that are looking through Google Earth and avionics, like in the middle section of the lake. And so on the 3rd day, we went out there, and it was like, I don't know, 10 or 11 o'clock. We went into this place. It was called Muddy Creek. Knew they had I knew it had submerged grass, hydrilla. At least it's supposed to in the springtime. So I wanted to see what it's maybe looking like, and it was already growing in there. And as soon as we got near grass, we started catching fish.
Yeah. So how did you break down the lake? Like, did you have like a plan for that? Like, I'm going to spend, today on the bottom half, and tomorrow, I'll do the middle. Like, did you break it down like that?
Yeah,
or?
I did. And so like the first 2 days, we wanted to stay near the ramp, just because I didn't know if it was gonna, stay in the 50s or like what the temperature was gonna do. So that looked a lot more pre-spawning to me. It had a bunch of deeper water, a lot of bridges, a lot of deep pits.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In the middle of the lake, the section of the lake seems like it's where it's, to me, it has the biggest population of fish. There's plenty of spawning flats off the little cuts off the main river, and then there's this place called Muddy Creek that had like a whole arm of look like spawning flats, a little spawning cove. So that's where we went. That was the huge reason why we went there.
And that ended up being your primary
practice.
spot.
I caught one that was over 7.
Dang.
Him and I both together.
Chris wasn't lying.
Our bag was 20. Yeah,
Chris wasn't lying when he said you guys were catching hammers when you went out there.
I mean, that in 5 hours when we found it on the 3rd day, because we stayed for 4 days. For 4 or 5 hours, we probably caught 40 fish, 20 of them over 4 pounds.
Holy crap.
We had almost 25 pounds. And of course, we had 1 day left, and it wasn't really a full day. We fished till like 12, and then we started headed home.
Yeah.
But we were like, gotta go back out there and fish. Like, you catch them like that,
And it's a month. It's a month before the tournament, so who cares?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. You went all the way out here. I didn't. The first 2 days I didn't catch any fish.
Right.
It was tough. I'm like, geesh,
That's the
don't want it to
worst.
waste my time. But that first half of that day before we went into that creek, that we spent driving into a couple of these other places that looked fishy on Google Earth. You could see when, like in the summertime, if you checked like a couple years ago, you could see boat tracks going through grass. So it's like, it's a telltale sign of there's something that, like that's where, so you go.
So just trying to kind of
putt around.
duplicate,
Yeah,
find some other areas that are like that area.
Yeah, and like it relates back to here. It's got like a lot of this like in canals, like going back into the quarry. There's cattails everywhere. There's a channel on this side, but then there's silt line. You got to get back over here to get into the deeper. Like nothing says it on the map, but when you look at it in Google Earth,
right, map says it's all 4 feet deep. It's
yeah,
not.
Exactly 2 foot deep. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I got to go out there and pre-practice and try to figure out how to get into some of these places because you only get 2.5 days of practice for this tournament. So you don't want to waste a full entire day just trying to drive in and out of places that maybe don't have fish. So it's like, and I had just ripped my motor, my lower unit off, so I wanted to not do that again in less than a year, and make 2 insurance claims because they're expensive, dude. You gotta claim insurance,
Oh yeah.
I'm not trying to get dragged for my insurance either.
Especially
so I was
for
like, man, let's go out there.
That Merc lower unit's like $10,000.
And I put so much effort into it because I honestly felt like it can be one not using live scope.
Right.
And I'm not really that good at it. And like like I said, I've been to Lake of the Ozarks. Like that's it's a predominant.
Right. Unless they're on the docks.
Use it. Like the BFL All-American is going to be a predominant. That's how it's going to be won. I felt like this one, man, shallow grass, spawning time. Like you could probably win it in the right spot if you find it, not really using it.
So you win. You end up winning this tournament, and tell us about what you got and how that is. It's not exactly what it seems on paper.
Yeah. So it's a $20,000 check.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if it's used for the purpose that they
right,
that they advertise it,
right,
then you can make some sense out of it. But like for me, I'm not going to go try to fish professionally. Like I have a full-time job that pays my bills, and that I like it that way. You know what I'm saying? So like it's just not, that's not why I fished it. For the advancement to try to fish professionally. But you get a $20,000 check, you get a Ranger Z520. And you get, I guess it ends up being around $25,000 worth of entry fees, which to the BFL All-American, the Toyota Series Championship at the end of the year, and then they kind of pay for it. It's equivalent to fishing a Toyota Series, the 3 tournament series. But then you have to pay taxes on all that, and I have to get the boat, and then once I get the boat, I'm not going to be able to sell it for what they're saying that it's it's an $80,000
boat.
boat
Is like all income is like what the banks or whatnot sees.
That's
it's
exactly
all income.
right.
So it's an $80,000 boat. They're counting that as $80,000 in income.
Correct, and I'm not going to be able to sell it for $80,000 because that's what the dealership sells it for.
Right.
And unless I want it to sit for 2 years, then I'm not going to be able to get $80,000 for it.
Well, then you're still not going to get it because it's 2 years old.
That's exactly
So
right.
it's lose-lose, right?
100%. Yeah. So, but I mean, if you're going to go and fish and say you want to try to go, quote unquote fish professionally or do that, I guess give it a shot, then I mean you get entry fees into these tournaments. You get these big tournaments that you get to fish. I get to fish this year. And the $20,000, if you wanted to, you could technically use some of it for like traveling.
Right.
But the problem is at the end of the year, tax time comes.
And you gotta pay the tax.
You're basically paying 30% taxes, which is a lot of money.
Right. And just to put it in perspective, like how good the tournament qualifications are. The Toyota Series Championship's $300,000.
100%. It's if you want to call it's the 3rd biggest fishing tournament in the world.
Right. I mean, it's
like Red Crest, the Bassmaster Classic, and then
as far as payouts go, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right. I mean, it pays the same. It pays out the same as the Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah.
And Red Crest.
So
it's
a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure, 100% it is.
I mean, that's
not everybody can say they've done it in their life, for sure. Like
life changing. I mean, that's life changing money.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So.
Blessed to have the opportunity to go fish them, but like when you think of the financials of the actual what you get out of it is definitely I made money, right?
Right.
Like I'm gonna sell the boat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make money off of it, but
Yeah,
I got that big check that's on the wall in my garage, which is awesome to look at, but it's not.
It's almost
really,
as good, right?
it's bad. Yeah, I mean, I'm good with just the trophy. I didn't really care that much. You know what I mean? Like the trophies, not a lot of people have those either,
Right.
which is
And you're sort of like
blessed
you said,
blessed to be.
It's a big accomplishment. Man.
Absolutely, it is,
Big
man. It
accomplishment.
hasn't really sunk in. I feel super blessed to so many things have to go right.
Yeah, for sure.
They say like it's
3-day
cliche
tournament.
to say when it's your time, it's your time, but I honestly believe that. Like that 18-hour drive home, like thinking about how many things had to go right. And then wrong on somebody else's boat
Right.
at the same time for that,
because
like,
you were leading the first day, and then you dropped a third on the second day.
yeah, agreed.
So and you were still. I mean, it was close. It was only like a pound and a half or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
it
You know,
was.
it was
Yeah.
still close
Yeah.
weights, but
Yeah.
you know, if those guys catch them like that again, like
Yeah.
you know, you're
Agreed.
You know, you're cooked.
100%.
You know, so
And we had 7 inches of rain during that tournament.
Yeah.
When we launched on the first day, I was surprised. I've never been told to launch, and when the wind it was blowing 30.
yeah, was it rough?
Sustained. Yeah.
Rough?
But like we fished the bay. So, yeah, it was rough. 4-footers. My co-angler on the first day asked me to turn around.
and you're like shut
straight
up.
up. No, like I mean, fishing the bay. We was like it's probably the 5th worst I've ever driven in. Like it was bad. Half the field didn't go to their fish.
So did you?
I did. I went. I was like, "This is all I got." I didn't catch them near the ramp. My brother caught a couple nice ones. Like, and that was when the water temperature was.
So your
15
so your
degrees.
co-angler
Confidence was not.
He
at
was
the ramp.
scared.
so your
Yeah, he was
co-angler
scared.
tells you to turn around, and you're just like,
Yeah.
shut up.
No, I was like, "Look, man, I got this." Now I just continue to, like you're in 4-foot waves. You got to pay attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I get that he was scared. Like, he was from Maine. He never.
I'd have been terrified.
He'd never
Taking
been in
it-
anything
I
like
mean,
that. Yeah,
how?
I mean, he don't know me. Like, I
Yeah.
get it, but like, I
Right.
know how to drive. I know how to drive in them. We've
Did you,
driven them before, like
I mean,
dozens of times.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was your ride good? Did you take any over?
Yeah, I took one over, cracked some plastic on my trolling motor.
Ain't bad. Like
And
one
it was, I had it. It was really right before it kind of calmed down. It was like a half-mile stretch where the way the wind was blowing, 30 mile an hour, where it was
like
just,
straight down the pipe.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. Top 5 that I've ever been in.
How long was the run?
It was about that day was 45 to 50 minutes, but
Did you fish the?
and normally it was 20 to 25.
Right.
But
Yeah.
like you had to do 10 mile. Like you can't drive those waves straight on trying to get on top of the waves, not in 4-foot waves.
can't.
You have to take them at an angle, and then you can cut back and get them at an angle. So you're not taking them straight over the bow. You got to play the roll game with those big waves like that.
Right, and you're
Or
only
you're going to take and rip your electronic straight off the front of your
and you're
boat.
only driving what 25 mile an hour.
Not even.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keeping it
as
on
much as
plane.
you can keep on
Yeah,
plane and keep the nose
100%.
up.
Yeah.
Did you fish that summer solstice tournament last year? The first Thursday. It was the very first Thursday night, or the one we had. Where we had like 30,
I think I
35
did.
boats.
Yeah.
Did you run to the?
I don't know. No, I didn't.
No?
I actually couldn't fish the first one.
Dude,
No, I
that one,
didn't.
that was sketchy. We so
Ran up
I think
top.
4 or 5 of us ran to the
Yeah.
flats. That the only place that I've ever been in worse than that one was one day when I was on Ontario. And that like 6-footers like out there, but up there it's not
They're wider.
like you just
Yeah, they're wider.
Yeah.
We went to Erie before.
Yeah,
and
same deal.
Yeah, it's different. That's like an ocean. out
Scary.
there. Yeah, 100%. They're big.
Well,
Because
because
you
you
get
4-footers that are close together, or 4-footers that are far apart that you have to like go down
Yeah,
in the
the-
middle
the
of.
it
close
depends on
together
how
ones.
far apart
yeah.
they are.
Yeah. The
Like
close
if they're
together ones
like in like we were talking about with like Ontario, they're so big that like you
can just
you
ride
literally
around
just
them.
ride you can just go up and down them. Like
It's different.
It's so big that you're like the wave itself, like you're not like breaking over the back of it. You're
And then
just
hitting another one.
you're riding over the back of the wave.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird
That's
and it's
very
scary
wild.
because you get down into the troughs in them and you can't see anything. Like all you see around
It's
you
just
is water.
water.
Yeah, that shit's scary. But yeah, I was asking if you fished that because I wanted to just kind of like get a comparison on how that
I've
was.
had people ask me about, and I've never been out in anything like that personally in my life, but like I think about it, and people are like, "How do guys in bass boats go out in stuff like that?" Because dude, a bass boat in reality, dude, they sit fucking 1 foot off the top of the water. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't
Jack plate helps too.
the
Yeah.
jack plate, but
Bury
they
that
don't
jack plate.
have like a ton of that clearance. So many people are just looking at how low they sit in the water, and they're like,
Well, there's about them
sink,
going
like-
fast, but that's not how you drive rough water. You don't go
Yeah.
70 miles an hour. That's not how it works. It does not. Yeah, that's not how you drive them.
And I think a lot of people don't realize how buoyant bass boats are either. It's not like a big boat.
Yeah, it's
like
not
where
gonna
it's
flip. Everybody thinks it's gonna
right.
flip
It's a,
over.
you know, big boat that's like stuck in the water, and the waves are crashing over it. Like the water's just gonna push your boat. Like it just pushes your boat up, and you just kind of keep going. So, but I've been in some stupid stuff. I get it.
Me too. Same.
anything like that would break my boat completely in half.
You should have
I don't even
seen
do
the
that.
day that I went out. Well, when I was breaking in the new boat, it was blowing from the southeast. So it's blowing straight up the gunpowder, and I'm like, and it's blowing like I think it was blowing like 35 with gust of 50, and I'm like, I'm gonna go.
rough.
Like I'm gonna go out and see how this thing handles big water. Like I gotta learn how to drive it.
No, that's great.
So like I go outside the bridge, and it wasn't like it's not too bad. For the direction it was blowing, I can't remember which way it was blowing, but the direction it was blowing, like it wasn't that bad if you like stayed at like hug the
side.
Dundee shoreline. Like if you stayed in the channel, like it was rough, but it wasn't. I mean, drivable.
Straight at
like
you.
50 mile an hour, like you could drive it.
Yeah.
So when I came back, like I went down to Dundee and I just kind of circled around because just putting hours on the motor. And like I went over toward APG, like came around Maxwell Point and like went back in there. Dude, the freaking waves in there were so freaking big. I came again, you're driving slow. So like I come up over one and like I drop down in the trough. And the top of this wave is like 3 feet over my head. And I'm like, holy shit! And they were pretty far apart. Like, like I never felt like I was in danger or anything. But I was like, damn, that's. I don't think I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen water that big out here.
Yeah.
Dustin says wind waves are easier to deal with than boat wakes.
It depends on the boat wake.
It depends.
I guess
Some of them boat wakes are.
They come out of nowhere. That's the worst thing about some of the
Yeah.
boat wakes. You'd be driving and all of a sudden there's a 3 or 4 foot wave when you're doing 60 or 70 and you don't catch it. And
Right.
if you're running
it just
across
kinda
the bay and some
gives you a little
freaking
launch.
Kind of
say in a
blends
boat,
in
but
with
like
the
I
rest
can
of the water.
imagine
Yeah.
like a ship out there just making a giant wave like off of a ship or something like that. Going
Yep.
like going across the bay.
You know what throws off a terrible wake? The APG boats. The APG boats
the
the
DNR boats or the police
not
boats?
the APG police boats, the one that shut down the river. They were one of the Thursday night I ran up to the flats and they were out there and they were like heading in.
Yeah,
Dude,
during
those
the
things
week,
are
you
all-
got to go around them.
Well, they were
I've
heading.
been flagged on them too.
They
They're
were-
like, no, you got to turn around, bud. Can't go through.
Like they were heading in, like they were heading
I
like back up
gotcha.
the speed, and like so we're coming around behind them, and like oh my god, like they can't be throwing that big old wake off. Like we get a little closer, we're like half mile away from them.
Hi, what's up, Zach?
We get like up close to them, and they're like the wake that they're throwing off like a 6 foot wake off the back of their boat. I was like, holy crap! Yeah, boat wake sucks.
Yeah, it does.
So anyway, so you're fishing the BFL All American, and that is on Lake
Hamilton,
Hamilton? Okay.
back in Arkansas. Not completely different fishery.
That's deep clear.
Yep.
No-
I mean, there's
no
there's
grass.
shallow stuff up. Like from the research I've done, you can go all the way upriver. They actually have grass. They have the dam from the Ouachita River, puts out really cold water. So like, some of the tournaments I've seen where it's like, man, it's 90 degrees down at the bottom of the lake, and up there, they're getting 60-degree water. So, yep. At the end of May, I'm not going out there and practicing. There's 2.5 days of official practice for that tournament. So, and it's cool because I get to travel with the co-angler who won the TBF National Championship. He lives in Pennsylvania, so him and I are both riding out there together.
JT, our one of our viewers, Zach, said you look like you're about to drop a mixtape with those headphones.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Well, cockeyed.
Yeah, it's easier for me to hear this way, I think. I don't know. I'm gonna keep going.
And then you have the Toyota Series Championship,
Yeah, which is on Grand Lake.
Grand Lake. Have you been to Grand Lake?
I have not.
No?
Nope. Prestigious lake. A lot of big tournaments get held on that lake. Gonna have to learn how to use live scope. That's the.
Talk to Andrew. I know Andrew's been there. So
Yep, he has.
he went out there. He was out there with Frank that one year.
Yep.
So at least give you a little bit of like how it lays out and
Agreed. Yep.
you know.
Yeah.
I think
Yep. I'm gonna go out there and pre-practice.
You're going
I'll
to pre-practice for
probably-
that one. I mean, it's a big tournament.
It's a
I'll
big
be-
tournament. Yeah, I mean, it's life-changing money for sure for that tournament. I mean, I really need to get better at live scope.
BFL All-American's only $100,000.
No, I mean,
big deal.
it still is too, but it's like we talked about earlier. Like it's like top 3 biggest tournaments in the
Right,
world.
that's like pay off your house money.
So one of the comments that I wanted to make about the tournament that you fished and how you got a Z520 or whatever out of it is the amount of people that sign up to fish that tournament. How many of them are just fishing in a ragged out bass boat and or like a John boat? You know what I mean? It's like there's so many people that already have a nice bass boat that are fishing it.
Yeah.
So like the purpose is to get
sponsor
that
driven.
boat.
You have to remember the TBF is a great organization.
Yeah.
It's member owned. They don't do these guys that run this tournament do not take a penny. Everything is sponsor driven. This tournament, like, so it's, I mean, there cannot be any knock on them. You know what I mean? Like it's literally like
Like if they couldn't get a boat, they're not going to give you 80 grand.
No
gonna
knock,
get
no
20.
knock on TBF.
it's good. What's that?
No knock on TBF
Absolutely
whatsoever.
not. I've been fishing.
Like,
I've been fishing
yeah.
the TBF for 10 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know why more people don't fish the TBF. Like we have a bunch of team tournaments like in our area. That's what we do is team tournaments.
So-
And the TBF offers a team tournament.
What's-
and you get the opportunity to go and fish for that living the dream package.
One qualifying
Right.
tournament.
In one qualifying tournament in an area that is not too far from you.
Right.
Like
Tom
we're
Overton
lucky
used to fish
because
that shit.
we're so
He'd
small.
get the
We're all our
Z520.
small states. Like we fish all like it's not far from us. Some of these guys are traveling 2 states over. Like in the Midwest and
Yeah.
stuff like that. You know, they do a lot more. They have to put a lot more into it than we do. And like it
But
blows
for
my
us,
mind that
like,
more
we
people
fish-
don't fish it.
We fish 4 tournaments, 5 tournaments,
5 tournaments.
5 tournaments.
Yep.
I'm the tournament director. Can you tell?
Yeah.
Can't even remember how many tournaments. So we have 5. We have 5 tournaments. You can drop one. So if you can't make one, like it's not a big deal. You get one drop. The top 6 automatically go, and then we have other spots that are able to qualify for the semifinal. The semifinal being which, you know, what JT won to qualify to go to this national championship. So, you know, we have 11 boats. 11 boats. Every boat fishing this year is going to get to go to the semifinal.
Yep.
Like we're all going to get to go.
And
You
have
know,
a chance.
It's pretty much a lock, and we're all going to have a chance. You know, because you're not, while we fish against Delaware and DC, you're not really fishing against Delaware and DC. You're fishing against the guys in Maryland.
Yep.
Because you have to be the top qualifier in your state to make the national championship. So really, you could like what you said, you were 4th or 5th.
5th place.
5th place. 5th place in the tournament, still get to go to the national championship because he
Highest
was
finisher
highest
out of
finisher from
Maryland.
Maryland.
Yep.
So you don't have to. I find that appealing because you don't. It's like a tournament within a tournament, right?
Agreed.
You don't have to go win this
the-
tournament.
Agreed. And well, honestly, I don't know if you know that, but now starting this year, I was blessed that I've won this one because I got to go and in the years past, same thing. You're fishing against only other 58 people this year. It was in that tournament. Next year is going to be 100 because if the TBF, if your club, if your state averages over 30 boats, then the angler of the year gets to go, and the state winner from that regional get to go. So like most states are going to be sending 2 people from here on out. That changed this year. So it's like,
No shit.
yeah.
We need to get like 20 more boats.
Well, I know, but that's my point though. It's like, I mean, you have, even still,
But
where
even still,
do
it's
we
a
get to
100
fish
boat-
for this type of money?
It's a 100-boat tournament.
Yeah.
You know, that 100-boat
Yeah.
tournament, like the Bass Nation champion, like just going the other route. So you have 2 grassroots trails really in the country. You have the TBF and you have the Bass Nation. The Bass Nation tournament I'm fishing in November. That's a 250-boat tournament. That's insane. Frank fished it last year. He said on Grand, he said it was stupid. He said he has no desire to go back because it's like literally everywhere you go. Like if you get a bad boat draw, everywhere you try to go, there's boats.
Yep.
You know,
The Toyota Series Championship's going to be the same way. I think
100
that's a 200 and some plus
yeah, 100 boat tournament though? Like 100 boat tournament's not bad.
This was a 58. This was a 58 boat tournament.
We have 100 boat tournaments on the bay, you know?
Exactly. Well, no, and that's
Like,
my
you put that
point
on
though.
a
It's
lake.
like
it's a decent sized tournament still, even with it being
you
bigger.
can go out there and win the tournament. Like, I mean, your odds are obviously, you know, like 1 out of 58 or 1
Dustin,
out of
we have
100 and some.
We have 5 tournaments, 5 qualifying tournaments, and then the semifinal. So we'll have 5 state tournaments. So that's our qualifying trail. That's a team trail. Again, we're sending like 11 people or something this year. I have to look at the numbers. It's either 10 or 11. And then the top teams, it'll be all teams this year because we lost some boats, go to the semifinals, which then turns into a draw tournament. So you and your partner from the year then go into the semifinals as a draw. So your partner is the co-angler, you're the boater. However you want to decide it. I know like Steve and Chris would like alternate, or every year.
Agreed. And
so,
I think you and Frank did the same thing, right? Or like,
oh no, Frank won't fish it.
No, I got
Frank
you.
won't fish as a rider.
I gotcha. Yeah,
He just filled in.
My brother doesn't like it either. He made it to nationals with me.
He just filled in for. You remember Dwayne?
I do.
I'm fishing with Dwayne this year,
Oh,
and he
gotcha.
couldn't make.
That's
He was
cool.
on vacation. He couldn't fish the first tournament, so
Gotcha. I haven't seen
I got
him in a long
Frank to fish
time.
with.
Yeah. That's
he's
cool.
he's back fishing Maryland this year.
Nice. That's cool.
So then you go. It's a draw tournament, and then the top boater and top rider from each state qualify for the national championship. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty. It's pretty simple. I've been twice. You've been twice. Mm-hmm. I've went as a co-angler both times that I went. Both times I went was in Texas. I had a blast. Just let me know, John. And depending on where you live, there's also a DC TBF as well. So if that's closer, I know you fish the Potomac a lot, Jonathan. So if that works better for you, I can get you hooked up with them as well. Each state does it a little bit differently, but it's still similar.
Yeah. I mean, at the end,
it's all the same.
It's all the same. Yeah. It's how do you get your participation? And I feel like we have a lot of team tournaments around here. So and we don't have the greatest payout because there is a portion of it that goes to the state representatives so they can travel, which is a great way to use that money.
Yeah, for sure.
I
think we gave you guys between the two of you like $1,750. I think is what we gave you.
Yeah, it was close to that. Yeah, and so like that went to staying and gas to go out there. I mean, it almost covered all of it. Which is a huge deal. It's not cheap to go out there.
And we cover other things too. We cover the entry fees for the semifinals for the top 6 teams.
Yep.
So the top 6 teams get their entry fee to the semifinal paid. That's $300 a team. It's $200 for a boater, $100 for a rider. So that's $1,800 that we put out back into it. All the money goes back into it.
Yeah, that's what's cool about the TBF.
Nobody makes any money off this
Nobody makes
stuff.
any money off it.
We try to put
member driven
everything back into it. Give as much money to the guys going to nationals as possible because it's expensive. I mean, when we went to Texas, it was $1,000 in gas.
Yeah.
Like just driving, not counting boat gas, not counting gas in the boat. We spent $1,000 in gas just driving down there and driving back.
And the first time I went to Lake of the Ozarks, I didn't get anything. Like you,
Right,
Frank, Tom, like took a couple bucks out of your pocket and was like, "We feel
gave
bad."
You what we could.
Like
yeah.
it was awesome. Yeah, that was a huge burden to, a couple grand. Basically.
Yeah, I think it was me, TT, and Frank.
Yeah.
And I think there was one other. I think Larry might have. Gave a couple dollars or something. But it was. We were in a bad place then, and we've gotten into a lot better place.
Yeah, it's in a good place.
We got a lot. We got a lot more members, even though we don't have as many of those members fishing. They're club members with most of them with Bass Legends.
Yeah.
Which
I wish
tomorrow. I wish more of those guys would talk to them. I wish more of them would fish.
Going to. Yeah,
because if we have 20 boats, like the payout's not too bad.
No, it's not.
It's $1,000 for first place.
I know. Yeah, I agree. Well,
and we're still getting all that
30
money
starting this year. Like you get to send.
That's 2 people.
That's 2 people.
And your trail payout with 30 boats is $1,500. Like that ain't bad. Like
that's the biggest
tournament
that we can fish, right? Like I'm not out there trying to travel. Like from a local standpoint, like the TVF, I just don't understand why there's not more people that.
Right.
You know, I get the payouts aren't 100%, but nobody's is. You know, like
I think
the same. Use some of these Susquehanna tackle tournaments. You know, like the promo ones, like that. You know, like their payout for a 100-boat trail is not even $2,000 for first place.
Right.
But there's 100 boats in that tournament. You know, like
150.
Yeah, 150. Yeah, exactly.
Now,
You're right,
granted,
yeah.
you know, like they can't really take that one because it's a semi-free
I
tournament.
know, but if you look at it on like how
but look
much
at, like,
money am I winning if I invest this much money?
Look
Like
at
that's
look at
you
Chester
know,
County.
Same thing.
Chester County's 100 boats.
Yeah.
And
their
like,
payout isn't that great.
unless
really.
I mean, you get into the side pod, it's decent. You know, you're gonna make.
But
about,
they pay for your entry fee. That's the same thing we
Right.
do. That's why I'm saying, like, I get ours isn't the greatest either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But with more boats, it gets better. I think that's what's not understood about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is a lot of the reason that we don't have participation in like our TBF is because there's so many team trails out there, right? So like, you know, for just the, you know, like your average everyday person who doesn't want to travel, like, you know, you can there's, you know, 1, 2, 3 team trails on the bay, 4 team trails on the bay. You know, and not to mention, you know, there's the random opens, like you have the, you know, you got like the Ike tournament. So you can literally never leave that body of water that you're most familiar with and fish as many tournaments as you want. And I think that hurts
The
the
Ike tournament
grass.
is the biggest tournament for us. It's the only
Right,
chance
'cause
that
you win a
any of
boat.
us get to fish for a boat.
Yeah, I should have won that boat a couple years ago.
Yeah. My brother did really good last year. He got third. He was
Scales
one
were-
fish away.
Scales were messed up. I'm pretty sure we.
It's amazing how tight the weights can be. Like you said, like you were in third on the second day, and then obviously, you know, pull through. But you're talking about like a pound, even less sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just like it's
Put it this way, JT. My partner that I fished that with every year. I fished that with him. I fished that Bass Pro tournament with him. He hasn't fished that ice tournament since.
I gotcha.
We had a 6, a legit 6, and I know it was a 6 because I weighed a 4, and this fish could have ate that 4,
I gotcha.
and it weighed 4.5 pounds on their scale.
Dale says, Chad.
They
what's
said it
up?
was
They
messed
won't
up
let
for
you talk.
everybody. but
Dale, I don't fish big tournaments like
Then we
this,
looked
so
at
I
the-
just let the big dogs talk.
We looked at the board, what was like leading lunker, and if it was that far off, say that fish was just 6 pounds, that means it was 1.5 pounds off, which means there were like 5 7.5 pounders caught.
Gotcha.
So I don't think it was. I don't think
Yeah,
that it was equal
just
for everybody.
that,
So it
yeah.
was just a certain number of people. You know, like it got messed up at some point in there, and they just kind of went with it.
What's up, buddy?
But I mean, we had. I know we had like 19 pounds, and we ended up weighing 17.1. And it just kind of put a bad
sucks.
taste. I
get it, yeah.
I've fished it one time since then.
Yeah.
And it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth because it was definitely not run. Danny fished it too, and like he was
Upset,
not too
yeah.
happy about it either because he looking at the
Had the same
weights.
problem.
Like he knew he had 17 pounds, and like we were fourth with 17 pounds. And the difference between fourth, it was 7. We had 17.13 and 17.891, according to their according to their scale.
yeah.
So like it was close. So Danny was looking at it like, I know I had like 16, 17 pounds. Like I should have been like up in the top 5, and you know that like
Yeah,
I knew
that
Danny
sucks,
was
yeah.
Danny was mad about that too, but.
I fished last year, but I didn't even weigh my fish because I know there was no.
I haven't fished it since. I fish the Susquehanna tournament every year, just because like that's kind of like
I've gotten second place in that tournament twice, 2 years in a row. A while back, I fished it, but it's once again, it's like I mean,
we got 4th in it the same year we got 4th in the Ike tournament.
did you?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The payout's not that great.
But it's not that great. But like you think about what you're getting. Like I always need a new reel. You know, I'm always needing a new reel.
I know.
I always
That's
need
how
a
I
new
did
rod.
those other tournaments too.
You know,
Yeah.
So, it's not like I'm just not getting like if I like you said I can dump my fish and I still came back with something. You know, like I still have this rod. You know, it's like I think of it as like you pay your entry fee and you want a rod in a raffle. You know.
Yeah.
So it's it's always worth it because you get you doesn't matter how you do in the tournament, you have
got
something for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you manage to happen to do well, like I think the year we got 4th, we got 3rd in the side pot. One team ahead of us didn't get it, and 3rd place we got $1,000. with the side pot.
Yeah.
It was like 980 or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
I mean, for what it is, and you're just buying stuff you're going to buy anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's what I did. Like I said, when I did fish them, that's what I would do: is buy a rod or a reel or something. Yep.
I'm not going to go out there and buy $250 in jackall baits or something like that.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
Like, and I don't fish Shimano reels, but like I'm not going to not fish a Shimano reel.
Yeah, I think about spinning reels from them.
So I'll go buy another Corrado and call it a day.
If only Daiwa would sponsor.
Right, if they could get Daiwa on board with that, it would make my life a lot easier.
God dang Daiwa reels. Love them freaking reels.
So we're going to pause here for a second. It's almost 8 o'clock. And we're going to pause for our tactical trivia brought to you by Tactical Fishing Company, Mr. Andrew Blair. And we might want to fix that because that is not the question.
No, it was never typed in.
Oh, that's my fault. Let me type that in real quick.
Oh, no.
Stop knocking the beers over.
Luckily, they were empty.
They usually are. They don't last long around here.
No, they don't. If there's a beer, I will drink it. Remember to hit a space. Or enter.
It's an easy question. Easy question of the night for anybody who follows tournament bass fishing. I've been
Is
on
that what we're doing?
Yeah. Do you know the answer?
Yeah, it was Hank Cherry.
I don't know the answer.
Was it? Said it out loud. Look, if I know the question, it was way too easy because I don't even follow tournament bass fishing. Oops. He just looked at me. He's like, really? Now we got to think of something.
Now we got to think of a
new
new question.
Now we got to think of a new question because I just ruined it.
Gosh.
Joe, I sent you a message. We need to get your email so we can send it to Tactical Fishing. I sent you a message earlier. Think, Paul. Think.
I
know I ruined it. I'm sorry.
you ruined it. Like that was the best that I came up with on the ride over here. Okay. I was like, that's easy. Everybody will know that answer. So
as soon as I said it out loud, I was like, oops.
I don't know the answer to that question. I can't.
We can figure it out really quickly. I like this. Seems tactical. I'm still laughing about this stupid thing. It's like, bleh.
All right. You can approximate the answer for this one.
This is one that I don't know anything about. All right. Are we ready for?
Hold on, I'm googling it, just so I know. I know.
What's up, Mark?
What it is.
Buddy Mark with MG General Services has joined us.
I just want to see. Let me pull it up here so I can.
Link to his Facebook page in the comments. Go and give him a follow. He'll make your kitchen look brand new.
Right.
Bathroom, anything.
All right, I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Here is the tactical trivia for your chance at a $25 gift card to Tactical Fishing Co.
The website.
And this is a question that I did not ruin. Boom.
What was Kyle Welcher's margin of victory at the Elite Series event on the Albemarle Sound? So if you can tell me the approximate, if you give me the number of pounds, if you get the pounds part right, I'll count it. So you can round off to the nearest pound.
I like this question better than the last one.
I was trying to make it easy.
You can't make it that easy.
Make it easy.
I like the one where it takes 5 minutes for people to come back, like it did with the first question that we asked, because nobody knew the answer to it.
We had to wait for somebody to Google it.
We couldn't even Google it and figure out what it
Dustin! Dustin fired second answer out there. 45 pounds. So in a 4-day tournament, Kyle Welcher won by 45 pounds. It was actually the exact answer was 45 pounds 7 ounces. That is good job, Dustin. Dustin, shoot me a message on Facebook with your email, and I'll have Andrew send you an e-gift card.
And just for the record, the first question was who won the Bassmaster Classic back to back
The last time,
and that was Hank Cherry. And if I know that, then
everyone does.
Everybody knows that because I don't even watch professional bass fishing. So, sorry, Paul.
Yeah, no big deal. Like I said, I just couldn't think of anything better on the ride over. I didn't even think about it today because I was busy as shit.
We definitely need to have like a team meeting and figure out some things that are more complicated.
Yeah, no problem, Dustin. So, now that we got that over
He
with.
fired that out pretty quickly.
So, tell everybody what kind of boat you run.
Ranger Z520.
Is that what you're running?
Is that what you're running?
No,
No,
run.
what running? Oh, I thought you said one.
Run.
I was like, is the Phoenix for sale?
No, Phoenix is not for sale. A Phoenix 721 Pro X.
That was the first question that these guys asked. Like, tell him, Antonio, is he going to sell the Phoenix? I was like, no.
No.
For a Z520?
No.
No, he
like
loves
my
that Phoenix. He loves that Phoenix so much that he bought the identical boat that he had before.
That's exactly
same
right.
colors and everything.
Everything. Yep. Yeah, I have really had no issues with those boats. I think they're awesome.
They do handle.
I mean, the
rough water
front
really
deck
good.
is a little bit narrow, but it's that goes into the driving part of the boat. You know, kind of makes up for that. But
It also helps. It probably helps it in rough water a little bit
does,
too. Yeah.
yeah, it handles. You know how to drive. You gotta drive it though.
It'll run too.
Yeah, I mean,
They're
it
quick.
gets about 75. You know,
Yeah.
with the jack plate. Yeah,
75. That's not bad.
that's running. Yeah.
That's faster.
Little
Is that
faster when
loaded?
the tide going out.
Is that loaded? Like normal load?
Without
normal load without live wells.
Yeah. That's not like travel tournament load. With you're completely
Just I'm going
packed.
fishing. You know,
pretty
like,
much.
Like I'm going out.
Yeah,
I'm going out
yeah.
fishing. You run 75.
Yeah, with less than a half a tank of gas. Yeah.
I mean, that's a hell of a lot faster than my Skeeter.
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
up, Lil John?
That's what the Laurent says, at least.
I got the fastest I've gotten the Skeeter is 73.4, and it scared the shit out of me because
gotcha.
it was walking. It was.
Yeah,
I didn't have anything in the boat. Like I had nothing in it.
Yeah.
And it was so light, and it just started going. I'm like, yep, I'm good.
Yep. Trim her down.
Like, well, yeah, we're just gonna trim her down. 72 is just fine.
Yep.
Now with two people in the boat, no water, no live wells, like it runs like right at 70, which is like that's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I just
I
wanted
mean,
a boat
it's
that would do
without a doubt
70.
fast enough.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do you know how often I run 70 miles an hour?
Do they handle big water
Around
pretty
here
good?
because
Phoenix?
oh yeah, tremendous.
I have really had no issues with it. I've had that boat in 4 to 5 foot waves. You know, you go out in front of the gunpowder, and that stretch from in front of the gunpowder to in front of the bush is a tough stretch.
Yeah.
When the wind blows and the tide goes at the same time, like
that tournament last year that I was telling you, it was so rough when we ran up Victor Ariema. He's got a 921 Elite. He walked by me in that water like I was sitting still.
What is the difference between the 7 and the 9?
the wider front deck.
9's wider, yeah.
Okay, the 9 is wider. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
Which I've been on. My buddy of mine, George Short, has a 921, and
You
I'll
would
probably
think
get in
that
921
wouldn't.
next.
Yeah.
You would think
Just
that'd
because
be a
the front
rougher
deck
ride.
is so much, it's so much bigger.
No. So the
No, it
the
depends.
narrower deck,
Depends too. The size of the waves, like
Yeah,
how,
just
like doesn't
around
cut
here,
the same.
the narrow one is
it cuts through the waves better.
yeah. You can get
Right,
on top
right.
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have so around here we get our waves are so close together for the most part.
For the
So
most
like
part.
you can get on top of them and you can just cut through them. I could do it with my champion. My champion was
Yeah.
I mean, for
They're good
18 and a half
rough
a boat,
water boats,
man.
too. Yeah.
I mean, it was, it would run through some crap. But when you get a wider boat, you have more surface area of the boat hitting the wave, and it just makes it a little rougher.
You want to know what's not a good rough water boat?
Yeah,
An aluminum Ranger.
An aluminum Ranger.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Or the John boat. However, I swear to God, I'm telling you right now, I think I would rather take that John boat out in rough shit than that fucking Ranger.
I got you.
I really do. Like, I swear to you. Like,
I got you.
that freaking
Yeah, it's a
low
good
John
boat, man.
boat is unsinkable.
He hates his boat.
That Ranger?
If you haven't gotten it,
Not
it's
so
awesome.
much.
Yeah, I don't have any. I love the Phoenix, man. I think it fishes good. It's great for the co-angler too. There's plenty of space.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
the way it's set up.
Yeah.
Any
very
fiberglass
open.
boat would have been better.
I fished from a couple Phoenix, and they're super nice.
Yeah,
I have no if it had been in my price range, like that would have been that, and I looked at them. They were just a little out of my price range. I was between
How many cracks in your hull have you had, Jim?
I was between Phoenix, Falcon, and Skeeter.
yeah.
I really wanted a Falcon. Like that was my number one, but again, it was like just out of my price range.
I actually ordered that boat with no electronics because through the TBF being
Oh,
the
right.
state team, we
Get
got,
discounts.
we got discounted 50% off electronics.
So that's
So like that's another perk once again
Yeah.
to
you get
you know
various
that's huge.
discounts, various
Yeah.
discounts with
that's
manufacturers.
50% is a
Yeah,
lot.
dude, that's a lot,
These
dude.
things are not cheap.
You talk
yeah,
about
man.
how expensive.
So like I
electronics
saved
are,
10
like,
grand basically.
Don't pull a Chris Huffman.
No, I got you. But I hear you. But no, I mean, really, like I saved
Not getting
10
50% anymore.
ordering, like what it came from the factory or from, like
Right.
I saved $8 grand, $8 grand in electronics.
Right, like was it I'm trying to think if it was Bass Nation or TBF, but one of the two. Like I bought my All-Trax on my Champion with it, and instead of 20, I think at the time it was like $2,300. It was like 16, like 1,600.
So I did the same thing.
Yeah, I saved like $700. Like it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, man, a lot of perks that come from the TBF for sure.
Yeah,
Jim
and
says
it's a good group of guys. I mean, everybody there's really
And honestly, it
nobody
makes
in
you
there.
better because we fish against a bunch of hammers.
Yeah, the
Like,
guys
I'm-
that fish it are
you
pretty
know,
good.
like we do. There's
Ain't gonna
a-
lie,
you
they're
know?
pretty good.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, and that goes along with Delaware and DC. Like them guys, they're
them Delaware
they're
boys
hammers.
are real good.
Yeah, Delaware guys are real good. Yes, they are.
And DC guys too.
Yeah.
I mean, those DC guys on the Potomac are. I mean, they're
Mike Morris
crazy
from
good.
Delaware made that tournament. He also is a national TBF national
Yep.
champion.
Yeah, he won in
The Red River.
on the
I
Red
think.
River
Yeah,
in
yeah.
2010, I believe it was.
Oh no, it was recent. It was
It was
20.
2010. No, me and Frank looked it up.
Did it?
Yeah, it was like 5 years ago. I thought it was soon. I thought it was more recent too. Well, we looked it up because then we started thinking about it. Like 2024, me and Tom went, and that was at
The 23, I went.
20. So that was Sam Rayburn. 23 was Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah.
22, or not? Did I say 2010?
You did.
I meant 2020.
That's what I was. Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
That's
I
why
know it was recent.
Yeah, I just started thinking about that. I was like, I'm trying to get back to 2020. I was like, wait, did I say 2010? Yeah, it was 2020.
Yeah.
I think it was 2020 or 2019. I can't remember. It was either like the year of COVID or the year before. But yeah, then it was Conroe in 22. I went to that one, and then 21 was Bull Shoals. I think Ron went to that one, if I remember right.
Yeah, Mike Moore's a super good dude. He's a hammer.
Super nice guy.
Yeah, he is, man.
Super nice guy. I love Mike.
Yep.
And that's another like
A lot
you
of good
said,
guys, man. You get to learn from them too.
and you make a lot of friends.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know,
Yeah.
like from other like I have friends from Delaware, from fishing with guys. I'm friend with Amos Dixon. Like I've been since I've fished a tournament with him on the Potomac. We've been pretty good friends. As far as like fishing. We'll be talk to each other every now and then, bullshit about fishing, stuff like that. Brian Barnes, consider Brian. I consider Brian a pretty good friend. He's got his bait company. I order a lot. I get a lot of baits from him. He makes fantastic baits.
He does.
Probably the best spinner baits. Spinner baits out there.
And they're definitely they definitely work around here for sure.
Yeah.
That's a great question from Thomas. What obscure place would you like to see the Opens go?
An obscure place that would be big enough to hold the Open. So it's got to be 150 to 250 boats.
Loch Raven.
An obscure place.
Yeah, that.
I'm trying to think of it. The problem with the Opens is they're so big that like putting them on a small body of water that's like obscure. You know what? I send them to Hawaii. I want to see them fish in the middle of nowhere in South Dakota.
That would be interesting.
It's not really obscure, but I mean the elites have been there twice. But
what's up, Andrew?
Hey,
Andrew Blair with Tactical Fishing.
You missed our trivia question.
Yeah, we did the trivia question, and I ruined it first.
We also.
And then we came up.
You
with
say big
one.
enough, but that's also relative to you live in Ohio. No, you can't hold an Open on a small lake. That's just not. It's not fair to the people in the tournament. Like if you're in Ohio holding a local tournament, and that's all you got, I can kind of understand that. But if it's an Open and you can go anywhere in the country, you can't put it on a small body of water and just force those guys to fish, in such a small area. That's just my opinion on that. But I would send them. You know what? I would like to see them go out west, personally. We haven't. None of the Bassmaster trails have went out to California in a long time.
What is the definition of small?
It depends on how many boats you're looking at.
I mean, acres of a lake.
10,000. Which is bigger than any lake we have around here. I would either like to see them go back to California or see them go to not Havasu or one of those places in those Arizona lakes. There's a what's that one that they've been doing the U.S. Open on? Because Lake Mead's been down, so they've been doing it on another lake out there, but it's got giant smallmouth in it. So I'd like to see them go to some place like that.
Yeah, they're coming to the Upper Bay this year.
Yeah, but even if the place fishes small, somebody, you still have the capability of finding something to yourself. Mm-hmm. Just because it fishes small, quote unquote, doesn't mean that you can't catch them doing something else, especially when you have a big tournament. Because if it fishes small, say the flats, and you got 150 boats out on the flats in the good grass,
that's a tournament, yeah.
And somebody runs to the gunpowder and can catch 17 pounds a day,
I feel like the flats is huge, but it seems like everybody is always just nut to butt.
Well,
in the same places.
Yeah,
it's huge, but the fish congregate into certain places.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, any lake on the Colorado River, yes. So that's what is that, Thomas? Do you know the one that they've been fishing the U.S. Open on since Mead's been drawn down? So well, I can't for the life of me remember what it is.
Do they fish the Mississippi?
Yes,
they do.
At least you're going to the Mississippi this year.
That's where I'm going. That's pretty interesting. I mean, that the Mississippi is massive.
Well, they limit.
That's huge.
They limit how far you can go. So
see, I feel like they should just let people just go.
You gotta.
You can only go. You can only go so far because the Mississippi is. You have to lock. So they have pools and there's locks in between the pools, and a lock cycle is 45 minutes. So each lock takes you 45 minutes. So you really can't go more than a couple locks.
You're killing yourself off trying to go far.
Yeah, if you can go that far if you want, but you're going to get an hour of fishing.
Exactly.
You're right.
Yeah, you better catch all 5 of your fish.
And then hope nothing happens on the way back. Yeah.
Figure two. If you take 2 locks, if you go 2 locks, it's 45 minutes per lock. That's an hour and a half each way. So that's cutting. Just
3
locking
hours.
is taking 3 hours of your day out.
Shoo.
I mean, it's like making it's like taking that gamble and making that 100-mile run or 120-mile run like Laker Howell did on Kentucky Lake in the Open this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was running 120 miles one way to the base of the Pickwick Dam.
Gotcha.
And he ended up he had a really good tournament. He was second place going into the last day. So he made the top 10. It was good. It was a good tournament, but like he was also running 120 miles a day in 25-mile-an-hour winds. So you make that gamble. Like he had 2.5 hours to fish on the last day. So, it's like, what do you do? Like you can make those long runs, but you gotta be able to catch your fish or know that you're going to catch your fish in that 2 to 3 hour time period.
It would be kind of crazy if they had guys come and like fish the Susquehanna River at like a big portion of the Susquehanna where like everybody had to come.
Thanks, Thomas.
And they had to use jet boats to catch smallmouth and largemouth out of the Susquehanna. I feel like that would be I would just like to see that for what kind of weights and everything they bring in.
I mean, look at the weights that the guides bring in. Like,
the kayak crew goes through there.
Right.
They do that, and that's because there's rocks everywhere. You gotta. That's a little bit more.
Even a jet boat, you have to know where you're going.
Agreed.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. The kayak's definitely more efficient when you talk about anywhere past, above Conowingo for sure.
I would like to see a pro or a couple of pros fish someplace like Conowingo, though. Like a place that's traditionally tough, even for locals, but there are big fish in there. Mm-hmm. Like I've seen 7-pounders come out of there. Largemouth.
That's a giant one. Mm-hmm.
See you, Jim.
I've seen one and saw a picture of another one.
I gotcha.
Yeah, my buddy caught one that was just over 7 in the spring one year. Largemouth.
Yeah.
So there are big fish in there, and there's plenty of 4s and 5s.
Yeah. It's got some deep water. It's definitely.
But like, where do
I don't fish it enough.
where do those fish go? Like, what do they do? And see how a pro would break that down. And
yeah, I'd be curious as well.
It would be a cool place to have. Do you read the Bassmaster magazine?
I get it. I usually don't.
They have
anymore.
So they have a column in it, or an article in it, every month called the Day on the Lake, where they take a pro, they take him to a lake he's never been before, and that's pretty much the only thing I read in Bassmaster anymore.
I gotcha.
Like I get it and I read that and just throw it down. But it's cool because you get to see how a pro breaks down a lake that they've never been on before. They've never been on it. They've never looked at it on a map. They just get there. It's a small body of water like we normally fish. Like, I would like to see something like that around here. Like, it'd be cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. It was crazy when the elites came here. You got to learn, a little bit of how they
fishing for dollars.
Right, and look at
Middle River. Middle River won that tournament. Yeah.
Right, and 2 people in the top 10 were in Middle River. Mm-hmm. Carl Jacobson was like 4 knocks down, right?
Yeah.
He was fishing the same area.
Yeah.
But
that wasn't the greatest time of year for them to come. But
look how spread out it was. Well, it was July.
Yeah, was it? Yeah, and I was a marshal for that.
But the flats got jacked up that year. Yeah. The grass got all messed up. Had all that like snot, that like black snot on it.
Yep.
But it was cool to see how spread out they got.
And
because
that was because of the flats,
right?
Having a down summer.
This year, that opened this year, it's not going to be spread out like that.
No, it's not going to. I don't believe so either. But I think the person that'll win it won't be in that crowd. I'll say that.
Probably not. But yeah, that Elite Series, you had Aaron Martins in Middle River, Carl Jacobson was Middle River, Davey Height was in the pond.
Mm-hmm. I know. I was his marshal.
Were you? That's funny.
It's crazy. Sitting there biting your lip all day long.
Nice over there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. I won that. I won a frog tournament, a frog only tournament for Kilby. And that was like part of the winning was being a marshal.
Oh no, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So they left a spot open. Like the elites left a spot open for this frog tournament. Whoever won the tournament. Yeah.
Frog only tournament.
Yeah, it was a Spro put it on. Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
And you could always
he burnt a lot of bridges, but he put on good tournaments, I will say that. And he had really good paybacks. That 90% payback. The Susquehanna Flats Trail has really good paybacks, too.
Yeah, for sure.
They do pay out, I think, payback like 90% or something.
So who else do we have in that tournament? So that was 3. You had Bill Lowen was in Swan Creek.
Russ Lane was in the bush.
Russ Lane was in Otter Creek. Chad Pipkins, top 10 that one. He was up in the Susquehanna. Gerald Swindle never
left northeast.
He barely went outside the 6 mile an hour during the whole tournament.
Hackney was in the Susquehanna.
Was Hackney in the Susquehanna? I couldn't remember. Did he top 10 that?
I think so.
I can't remember who the other.
Promise. I'm pretty sure he did.
I can't remember who the other 3 people were that were in the top 10. That's just the ones I can remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Apparently, my memory's not as bad as I thought it was. When it comes to fishing, anyway. But yeah, that was pretty wild, like how spread out. But like you said, it was because the flats were all jacked up.
They were dead. Yeah.
The fish just weren't out there. I remember Timmy Horton saying it. It's like when he went out there to practice, he's like, you couldn't find good grass. Like the grass just wasn't clean. It had all that black snot all over it.
It died really early and hot. I don't know what the deal was.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hasn't done it that bad in a really long time.
No, and it got like hot as hell last year. So I don't think it was the heat. It had to be something with water quality.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool. But then you see then we had that open a couple of years ago, which was in September, which is a terrible time to fish up here.
It is. It's probably the worst month of the entire year.
And
August, September. Yeah.
Like Dundee played a big part in that one. That was cool. In fishing a spot that I would never fish in Dundee. And I've fished it since then, and I still haven't caught a fish there.
I got you.
He was right behind. Did you see where he was? I don't know if you saw it.
No,
he was right behind. He was right behind the boathouse.
Gotcha.
Well, the little creek that goes back in.
Yeah.
He was fishing those reeds right behind it. Dude was fishing those reeds and catching. I mean, catching decent fish. Enough to make the top 10. Like he made it on the final day. He made 13. Yeah, I don't know what it took, like 14 pounds a day or something like that.
Yeah, JT Tompkins won that tournament out of Northeast.
He did
on a brush pile.
On a
stretch. Yeah. Yeah.
A certain area.
Yeah.
There's a couple things out there.
Yeah, there's a few things. Yeah.
there's a couple things out there. We won't talk about that though. Yeah. JT Tompkins. That's the one that Trey Swindle probably would have won if he hadn't got DQ'd.
Yep.
Because he told JT to go there after he got DQ'd.
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He said just go ahead and fish where I was fishing, and JT went there and won.
Gotcha. Yep.
June bug red. What are we talking about? June bug red must be talking about Santee. Andrew talking about Santee. So Andrew, he is the owner of Tactical Fishing Company. He makes those. See, that was wild. It just popped up there when I said it.
Tactical fishing.
He's from Maryland, and he moved down to South Carolina last year. So he was relatively close, about an hour from Santee. He's
awesome.
been doing a lot of fishing down there. He's a big kayak fisherman.
I definitely want to go to Santee. George Fortner also lives.
George keeps telling me to come down.
Every year he tells me to come down, and I usually just go to straight past it and keep going
Just
to
go to
Florida. And that's because the time we take vacation is in February, and the fishing's better in Florida in February than it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I want to go down there. I definitely want to.
Yeah, I for sure want to go down there. Andrew called in like one of his second trip there, I think it was. He called again kayak fisherman, right? He's kayak catching an 8.5 pounder.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's probably one of the most underrated places. Every tournament you see that go out there, all these big tournaments.
Did you see what Christie did a couple weeks ago down there?
There are giants that live in that place.
That MPFL
and that's one of those places that you don't have to have forward-facing sonar to actually, compete. I mean, it might still win tournaments out of there, but you can compete without it in a place like that in the springtime, at least. From what I see or hear about it, but.
Which personally,
I'd like to go for sure.
I don't have anything against forward-facing sonar, but it is nice sometimes to especially for I don't care about it for the pros, right? And I don't care about it for the amateur. I don't care about using it.
Either. I have it on my boat. I'm just not good at it.
But I feel like it makes it a more fun environment. Like the tournament,
you get to learn a lot from it for sure.
In the places where it's not such a big deal. Because then you don't have any animosity of damn scopers and stuff like we fish up here. Nobody cares. Because it doesn't play such a big role up here. Yeah. I mean, it does in certain certain times, but
you just use it differently.
Right.
We have way too many trash fish, and
that makes it so hard up here.
It really does, man.
And some of them are really hard to. It's hard to tell the difference between a bass and certain types of fish. Yeah. Especially stripers. Bass and stripers look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Especially when it's those schoolies in the fall that are the same size as a 4-pounder.
Yeah.
We got Scott Sewell and Adam Gramster watching. Thanks for joining, boys.
Hey, thanks, Mr. Scott. But yeah, I mean, We have a TBF tournament coming up
May 10th.
May 10th
At
out of
Dundee.
Dundee. Yeah, so that ought to be fun.
Yep. Tournament number 2 for the year, right?
Yeah, you want to just move it to Havre de Grace?
What's that?
Want to just move it to Havre de Grace so we don't have to run as far?
I honestly don't know why we have it at Dundee. I do understand why, but I'm not going. Yeah. I mean, unless the wind's blowing 20 miles an hour, then I'm not going to be fishing.
You're going to be in one of two places. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
If the wind's not blowing, you're going to be in one place, and if the wind is blowing, you're going to be in another.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, really though. But I mean, if it lets you go, the Flats is going to win that tournament. There's, the Upper Bay, I should say, is going to win that tournament.
It's the Upper Bay right now is it's so fishing so well. I mean, there's so many big fish being caught, big bags.
Haven't been yet.
Get up there before they start spawning.
Well, I got the tournament tomorrow, so I'm just going to.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It.
You're going to go there. You're fishing the old Bass Legends tournament tomorrow. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's you'll have fun.
I mean, I'm going to go check the stuff that there usually are this time of year. I'm sure they'll be around.
As long as you find the grass, which it's not hard to find right now. Then they're in it.
100%. Yep.
Other than that, that's about all I'll tell you on that.
I gotcha. I'm just gonna go fishing.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I've been traveling for work. I don't really get to go fishing as much as I usually do. So tournament keeps me out there all day, trying to figure it out. Like I said, we got the same tide that's gonna be in our TBF tournament. So it's a perfect day to be out there trying to pre-fish figure something out.
So have you been working more recently? You said
I travel for work. Yeah, I'm staying in Manassas, Virginia during the week.
Sucks. Really cuts down on the fishing time. Can't go after work.
I know. It's the worst.
And that's the best part about living where we do.
It's another year. It's going to be for the next year, which really sucks. But
yeah, that's the best part about living where we do.
I know. Agreed.
Yeah,
that's why. I mean, I grew up on Rumsey Island, and I still to this day. I've lived in Rumsey Island for 40 years. So basically, I lived at home, job time my whole life.
So I know you lived. I know you bought. What, 2 years ago? You bought your house?
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yep.
So you're on the water, right?
I am. Yep. In Rumsey.
Which cut are you in?
All the way. I'm the last actual house cove.
Okay.
So if you go all the way under the bridge,
before you get to the very
last cut before you get to the bridge. Yeah.
I couldn't remember. Frank told me one day, and he was like, "Yeah, they're in JC's house right back there." And I couldn't. I'm like, where the hell is?
If you drive by my dock, you'll see the brush sticking up everywhere.
I wonder if that's the one I got.
Kind of hard to miss. Honestly, it's sticking up everywhere.
You still live there?
I just bought the house.
He just bought a house.
Oh, you just bought it. Okay.
But I grew up in Rumsey Island, my whole life.
It's like because I always see you trailer the boat.
I know. Yeah. So I have a little small Boston Whaler, and then my wife has a pro line, 24-foot pro line. So we boat. That's why I can't fish the Bassmaster Open this year.
Because you can't stay off those.
You can't be off. You have to stay off tournament waters. And we like to go and hang out at Maxwell's Point for 4th of July. Right.
Hell yeah.
And so I'm not giving that up to fish the Opens. It kind of sucks that it's
shit.
that
I use
way,
my power poles to go out to Maxwell Point and stuff more than I do to go freaking bass fishing.
You guys do that. You guys do that every weekend.
Live on Maxwell's Point in the weekend. Yeah, man, we're always out there. Yep, every single weekend.
Every time I'm out there on the weekend fishing, I see I'll see his you see all these pleasure boats and you see a blue Phoenix.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see him pull or you used to anyway. You take the waste boat. Take the waste boat now.
If her boat's in the shop, then we use the Phoenix. Yep.
Bubs is at it again.
Oh,
yeah, her boat stays on the lift.
Yeah, that's sweet. So you can just take that out there now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
I've seen you out there in the Phoenix a couple times.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Fish in the DMV. Here is a spicy question: would the Upper Bay fish completely different if all tournaments would catch and release versus weigh-in tournaments?
Depends on the time of year.
Where
I don't think
70% of the fish get moved to the Northeast River.
I don't think it would fish completely.
I think they would.
I don't think it would be completely different. I think you would see it be a little bit different.
He's trying to get over it.
Chloe, come on, get.
She's such a. I think you would see it be a little different, and I think you would see more bigger bags. Would she unplug?
On top of the cord. Come on, dude.
Are we good now? Okay. So I think you would see more bigger bags coming from different areas, but the flats are still going to dominate.
Chloe, out.
The grass is healthy.
Grass
out
and
there.
bait. Yeah, the amount of grass, the amount of bait that's out there,
The winter,
like, it's
the
still going to
wintertime
dominate.
fishing might not be as good as it
Little Johnson's
usually
gloves.
is.
Yeah, that's why I said time of year dependent,
Yeah.
because that from like November 1st to like March 1st, you can't beat the Northeast.
I agree. Yeah, when the grass is not growing.
Yeah, when that grass is not growing, the Northeast is.
Yeah, the place to be.
As far as the upper bay goes, like
Is your headset not working anymore?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. I mean, I can still hear you. You're good. Dang dog.
Yeah, I've never, like, I know there's more places that they winter. Outside of the Northeast, I've only been able to find like one or two spots, like in the Haverty Grace area,
Yeah.
that have like wintertime fish.
Population of fish.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to find. And they have to go somewhere because the springtime, like when they come up on like the causeway and stuff, those fish didn't come from the Northeast.
No.
They came from somewhere. But it's trying to, I mean, for 10 years I've been trying to figure out where those fish come from, and I can't find them. It's so much easier just to go to the Northeast and beat on some rocks.
And that's why no one else goes to find them.
Right.
It's a lot easier. You can have great, fun fishing days.
Especially that time of year.
Some of the best times of the year.
Do I want to go out?
Wintertime.
I mean, do I want to go out and idle around in 35-degree weather, or do I want to catch some fish? Like, idling around in 35-degree weather is not fun.
No, it's not. Yeah, especially when the wind blows.
But you catch it's 35 degrees, you catch a 5-pounder, you get warm real quick. Get that adrenaline rush. Yeah, I love wintertime fishing.
Me too.
That's one of my favorite times of the year to fish. Love going up to the Northeast.
Yeah, me too.
Fishing there. I mean, I like wintertime fishing down here.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
Go back to the quarries and drag a little jig
Yeah,
around.
man, I really hope the grass comes back in the gunpowder. They need to do something about that. I feel like the fishing is gonna decline.
I will say that they must have finally either they finished construction or they must have fixed some of that construction that was dirtying up Foster Branch, because I mean it cleared up like overnight the last time I
Yeah,
rained.
we still I live on the water on the gunpowder now.
But it's
so,
real
I've
dirty
noticed
right now.
It's really dirty.
Very
Honestly,
dirty.
it was a pretty dirty winter. Usually in the wintertime, like it gets pretty clean.
Yeah.
back,
Yeah.
especially
Especially back
crappie
in
fishing
Crystal
used to be
clear
really good.
everywhere
Yeah,
normal.
I mean,
Yeah.
really, yeah. It's
I call it big ass crappie.
I mean, it's been
big ass
nothing.
crappie last
You can get 6 inches
night.
of visibility all winter long. Like it never really cleaned up.
Yeah.
Even when it iced over, which we had a pretty bad winter this year, compared to the past few years at least.
I think it was out of your cut. I caught like a 14-inch crappie the other day.
Oh, I believe it.
That's a big crappie.
I believe
Yeah, I caught it on a flipping bait. I caught it on a Bronco bug.
All right, gotcha.
Like that.
Gotcha.
Caught it on a flipping bait like this big.
Tom with fishing the DMV makes another point. He says, why is fishing the Northeast River so good? And because of the habitat, it's just because of the last 200 years, every fish has been transferred to it.
Because every fish has been transferred to it.
Right.
But it's only wintertime.
There's also
the Northeast,
a very large population of bait that, for wherever the
Right.
reason is, that goes up to the Northeast. You got to remember, it's
stays
also the salinity of the...
especially in the fall.
Yes, exactly right. It's very, very clean water, minus the Susquehanna. It's got a... I mean, and the Gunpowder River has fresh water as well, but
Yeah.
it's fresh water up there.
A part of it is like Tom said, every bass tournament, goes out of there, and gets a lot of release fish. But the other part is, like you said, when that salt pushes up the bay, like they're just going to push. They're just going to
far as
push
they
up
can go.
northeast. Especially when in the fall, like if it's in like September when the grass is like late September when the grass is starting to die off, like they're exiting that grass and they're getting away from that salt.
Agreed, and they also don't get the Susquehanna's not usually moving that much water
That time of year,
you get these summers where it doesn't rain that much, and
And that's when it like end of
that
September
water gets a little salty too.
That's
You
when
gotta
the
go up as far as
the
you can.
Northeast starts to get good. October is usually when you really start to catch them out of the Northeast. So it's a combination of things that makes the Northeast better. But the Northeast is only generally the best place to fish overall for 4 months out of the year.
Agreed.
4 or
when
5
the grass grows, it's,
Let's say 5 months. November, and that's November to March. Once the grass comes up,
yeah, that's where the tournament grade fish live.
you'll have one out of 5 tournaments maybe gets one out of the Northeast. You know, somebody somebody's
flood
fishing,
tide or something crazy.
right. somebody's fishing. You know, somebody goes in there, fishes docks, catches 25 pounds.
Yeah, the wind's blowing.
You know, it's usually somebody in a small boat. Wind's blowing. Somebody in a small boat. They just stayed. You know, they stayed in there. They caught a big bag because they had everything to themselves.
Yep.
You know, once you put boats in there, like it's, you know, if you get a real windy day and there's, you know, say 30 to 40 of the 100 boats stay in there, it sucks. I mean, it's hard to catch fish. And not everybody catches
population of fish just isn't there.
Right. But it's
in the
there
fall
if you have
time,
a couple of boats
big
in there.
population of fish, that grass dies off, and a big population.
And
of
then
that fish
menhaden. It's that menhaden.
Yeah, follows those shad
Every
up
fall.
the Northeast. I mean, that's just it's what happens, and there's the tournaments. Obviously, there's all the big tournaments go out of there. So
When you get
there's always
into-
going to be a population of fish there. But.
When you get into November, and usually it's a little bit earlier, like it was November last year. There was so many menhaden in there, it would surprise me if every fish from the flats didn't follow them up the Northeast. I mean, there were millions of them in like little pockets. Like you go into a little pocket, you know, the dock over by the apartments. That whole pocket was nothing but bait.
Yeah.
Like from the little rock jetty all the way over to the other
that
the
fresh
rock jetty
water.
on it. Because all that bait just pushed in there.
But those bass also swim away from the Northeast too, because I've caught in a tag fish, and it was at basically the very, very mouth of the Northeast River, if you want to call it, like, you know, that turn that takes you straight up the Northeast. And that fish had been tagged 35 days or 30, I can't remember what it was. It was like 10 years ago, but it was like 30 some days.
Up in the cuts or something.
That and got released out of Northeast and was at the mouth of the Northeast River 30 days later. I don't know how long it took it to get there, but it's not like it stayed the entire year, through a full cycle up there. Like it swam away, you know?
And that's something that's really just interesting is just how different fish move. So I've caught one tagged fish from DNR. I caught it on the Potomac, caught it in Mattawoman. And
I think the guy's name was Joe Love. I think.
Yep. So the tagged fish I caught within 30 feet of where it was released.
Yeah.
2 years later.
Yeah. So
That's
that's
pretty
what
crazy.
I'm saying. You know, I mean, you really you never know.
You know,
but-
it was kind of wild, right? Like that, like they told me like that exactly where it was released, and I'm like, that's like 30 feet from where I caught it. Like, I mean, I caught it in the same exact area 2 years later.
Yeah, well, I mean, if that area is Mattawoman, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the
It probably
grass.
got caught like 5 times and taken to the ramp.
I got you. Yeah. Then that could have been the case too. You never know.
Just-
One
it's-
of-
I'm
one
trying
of
to
those
swim
dumb
to the-
ones that's
just trying to
gonna
swim
get
to the back
caught
of the
no matter
creek.
what. Yeah, I got you. Mm-hmm.
Fish was just trying to swim to the back of the creek and just kept getting caught. But yeah, it's interesting that how some fish will like literally stay in one spot for like years on end, and then some fish like they just move all over the place.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Thomas saying that's the Northeast is the Mattawoman of the Upper Bay.
Yeah, I mean,
That's right.
It's he's 100% right. I mean, really.
But you have just like Mattawoman, you have a resident population of fish. I mean, you can't tell me that every 6-pounder that's been caught in the back of Mattawoman was a release fish.
Agreed. No, I agree. Well, and that's what I was just about to say is that at least Mattawoman has grass, right? And that's at least from everything that we fish around here, like that grass is.
Mattawoman's a lot longer than the Northeast. Too.
Oh, I mean, absolutely, yeah.
So
yeah.
There's
But
not
there's
as much
so
water,
much-
but there's so much more habitat.
Matt, what's going on?
Hey, Matt, what's going on?
Matt Heron in the house. That's pretty cool. Good to see you, Matt. How did the NPFL?
How's
was
your
weeks
back?
ago?
How's your back doing, Matt?
He did
Hope it's
post
getting
a
better.
video of falling in the boat.
Yeah, hope that's getting better. Yeah, saw that. Looked like a nasty fall. Trust me, from somebody who has a bad back also. Like that sucks.
Yeah. Heal up,
But
Dustin.
and Dustin says tidal fish can travel great distances with hardly no effort. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah.
what do you mean by no effort though? Because like if I swim for 6 hours on the outgoing tide, then the tide's pushing me back the other way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think that the tide pushes anybody.
I mean, if
Or
they're
anything.
swimming, if they're
You know what I
if
mean?
they're
Like-
swimming with the tide, back's better. Sweet, glad you're happy over there, Matt. Glad you're having a good time. If it's swimming with the tide, if that's making it easier, like it's just gonna have an equal hard time when the tide comes back in or whatever. In my opinion, I feel like a fish in a fishbowl lake with no current can just swim wherever it wants a lot easier.
Let's ask.
But
Matt
that's
a
true
question.
too. I feel like tidal fish move less distance than lake fish.
Related. Let's ask Matt a question related to some of the questions that we've been asked earlier. Where would you like to see the Opens or one of the MPFLs go?
That's obscure and like an obscure place that they've never been before.
Yeah, something different. Where would you like to see that go, Matt? And why? Why would you like to see it go there?
But yeah, like I just feel like that fishbowl lake that just got wind current. They can just kind of swim wherever they want. They ain't got to worry about current, nothing, right? I'm not 100% sure. Like,
It's hard to say.
I've never asked a fish.
I can't see that swimming in tidal water being easy when it's just going in and out and in. And
I don't think
out.
it's easy at all. Look at the way that a tidal water fish is built versus a lake fish.
Right.
When you're the difference when you're catching fish that are this wide across the back, because the muscle, they have more muscle because of swimming in the current.
Those bass eat better.
I don't even think it's that they eat better. I think it's that they build more muscle. I wish we could fish the Potomac or Chesapeake. Hell yeah.
Let's go. I like that.
Me too.
If you want, you're
was-
always welcome to come up.
Absolutely.
We'll find a place for you to stay.
Absolutely. When was the last time? It was 20.
I'll make my wife sleep on the couch.
I gotcha.
It was
playing with fire.
2021 when they tried to do.
2017 was when
It
they
was
were-
17.
So 25. What was it? What year did it? Do you remember what year Aaron won?
Did it not get?
Oh, that's 2017.
No, because they tried to hold Opens here, something like that, and it
They
got
had to.
canceled.
That was an elite series. They tried to have an elite
Yeah.
series. What year was that? I was supposed to marshal that tournament. I was supposed to be Cliff Pace's marshal. That was 20. It was before
21?
COVID.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was super flood tide as well.
It was before COVID.
It was crazy. Yeah,
super
we had like an
something
insane amount of rain right before that.
Yep.
Hell yeah! Come on up, Matt.
Yeah,
We'll
Matt,
find-
shoot us a message anytime. We'll get you set up.
we'll get you set up.
We'll get you a place to stay. Don't even worry about it. Come up here and fish the Chesapeake. Or where we're at it, we're about.
I'm sure Matt's fished the gunpowder before.
I'm sure
here.
we're about 20 minutes, 25 minutes from prime fishing out on the flats and
Yeah, we're
Gunpowder River and
25 minutes from the flats.
We're
I live
10
a
minutes
mile
from.
I live a mile and a half from the
Oh
gunpowder.
yeah, you forget. You can
So
walk.
does
I
JT.
live on the gunpowder.
Like he literally was on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's those fish are just built. River fish are just built different. Like river fish, tidal fish, they're just built different. They're shorter, stockier. Where like, I mean, I've caught. Perfect example. I was at Rayburn last spring, and a 15-inch fish there weighed like 1.75 pounds. Like you catch a 15-inch buck down there, it's 1.75 pounds. You catch a 15-inch buck up here, it's 2.5 pounds. It's, in the same time frame.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Tidal fish are definitely built differently.
they're just built different.
Largemouth are also lazy,
Yeah, see,
though.
Matt's fished the gunpowder. The gunpowders that's our home waters, man. Yeah, you too, Matt. Get out
Appreciate
there.
it, Matt. Thanks for joining our show tonight.
Get out there and get them, man. Wonder when the next MPFL is.
Probably another couple weeks. They seem like the schedule is kind of spread out.
Like, I don't think it's any, from a viewer perspective, like, I don't think it's better, but it's different, and I like it. Because there's no forward-facing
people
sonar.
are used to or can relate to.
No forward-facing sonar. You know, probably, if you go by the Maryland study that me and Tom went over on his show a couple weeks ago, it's like, did you get an email about from Maryland about the survey for forward-facing sonar?
I did.
So of the people who responded to that survey, only like 25, like I think it was 20%. Tom will correct me on this, but it was like only 20% of the people that responded even have forward-facing sonar.
It said what?
Only 20% of the people who responded even have forward-facing sonar. So when
Yeah,
it asked,
I mean,
like, do you have
obviously
forward-facing sonar? Only like 20% of the people.
Huh.
That's kind of crazy to me because I feel
So
like
if you look at your
everybody has forward-facing sonar.
I mean, we fish a lot of
We
tournaments.
fish a lot of tournaments.
And so
like the
you
tournament
figure,
guys, it's probably skewed the other way. You know, it's probably 80-20 the other way. But for
but not everybody fishes tournaments for
Right.
sure. So yeah,
in fact, the majority of people don't. Like the majority of people that are just out bass fishing, they don't fish tournaments.
yeah.
You know, they're just they're just
And
out bass
honestly,
fishing from a
like,
John boat or
it's not a predominant way
kayaks
to
and-
catch them here.
right.
Like
It's not. It's not that important.
It's not that important. Like,
What up? That's messed. Thomas, that's so messed up. Thomas, what was the percentage on that survey that we looked at for the people who had forward-facing sonar? I can't remember off the top of my head. I know it was very low, and the interesting part about that is the people who had forward-facing sonar thought it made less of an impact on like your performance than the people who didn't have it. So the people who didn't have it thought it was a much better tool than it actually was.
Well, and look, and the people. I mean, they're responding for the fisheries that we fish around now. If you go, like you said, like Lake Anna or like some of these other places, that's going to be skewed a little bit more. But you're probably getting a lot of people from the Potomac or the Arbor Bay that are responding to that. And
Well, and it's a lot of
shallow grass,
Right.
fisheries. Like it's just not gonna be a predominant winning.
Yeah, I just thought it was
I
interesting.
mean,
that
say
the
that,
people,
but like
the
these
people
pros
who,
will come here and then they'll win a tournament using it.
Right.
But like that's not how we
25 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Of fish
But
we've never even. They're on the middle of the bay somewhere.
that's exactly right. Yeah, but
They're down off of what's that place across the bay from us that they always striper fish over there?
Chester River.
No, just like just north of that one point that's over there. Like Andrew goes over there all the time.
oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. Rocky Point.
Rocket, yeah. Like somebody would be like down there, just like slamming 5-pounders or something.
I know, man. Like,
But around here we have so many trash fish, like you mentioned earlier. Not
it's hard to learn how to
necessarily
use it.
trash fish, like
Yeah.
non bass.
There's a bunch of different species that live around here.
I can tell you, we got some big yellow perch around here, and they look just like bass on forward facing sonar.
Crappies,
Crappies are easy. They're pretty easy to identify. I mean, they show up as just like a round circle, so like it's pretty easy to get those. But like big yellow perch look like small bass. Rockfish look just like bass unless they're big ones.
Yeah.
If they're those 18 to 20 inch schoolies, they look just like bass. I actually saw a snakehead for the first time. We saw it on perspective mode last night. We must have spooked it or something. It jumped out of the water, so we knew it was a snakehead, and we watched it swim off on perspective mode, and you could see you could just see the shadow, like the shadow going, and it looked just like a longer shadow.
I would actually, not to take this off bass fishing, but I would be interested to do snakehead go in deep water?
I've caught them out of the pond in 12 to 13 feet.
Right, you know what I mean,
And I know they were on the bottom because I caught them on drop shot.
And do they ever school up, or is it always just one by itself? You know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of things that have not really been
outside of grass
discovered.
Outside of grass, I don't ever really see them bunched up. Now you get a good grass in the fall when the grass starts to die off, and like
Or in the
that,
spring when it starts to grow.
yeah,
Yeah.
they'll congregate to that last grass. Like you like Dundee, like last fall when that grass started to die off in Dundee, like they were just like they would just move, like you could just see them like moving in with the grass. And I mean, you'd have 50, you'd be 15 or 20 of them in one grass patch.
I feel like forward-facing sonar could teach you a
Potomac,
lot about
they
the
do the same
patterns
thing.
of snakehead and the depths that they'll
for
sit
sure.
in, where they'll go, how they move, if they group,
But they fish,
when they group.
they generally stay shallow.
Right.
I mean, I've caught them out of Rumsey perch fishing in the wintertime, 30 like 38-degree water. Like people, it's there's this theory that you can't catch them in the winter, they just bury in the mud. Like I've caught them perch fishing in 38-degree water. They're still there. I think there's a lot of stuff that we don't know
Bury in
about
the
them.
mud. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
That's according to John Odenkirk, Virginia fisheries biologist.
Gotcha.
That they-
Never heard of that.
And so they'll bury
I don't
themselves
see
in the mud.
it. I don't see it.
And some may.
They're going to do the same exact thing that the bass do. They're going to go down to where the water temperature is warmer, below that freaking ice level, and they're going to sit
Not
there and
necessarily.
be more lethargic.
I think a lot of it depends on where they're living. Like I think those resident like pond, like ones back in the pond that
Right.
stay in there. There's those snakeheads stay in there all year.
Them things get smacked by bow fishermen all the time back there.
So
That's
you
why
know,
the numbers are so down.
That's-
which I'm totally okay with.
that's mostly hard bottom back there. I think that those fish probably behave differently than the ones down in Dundee.
Yeah, 100%.
That it's a shallow fishery. They don't really have anywhere to go deep. Those fish might bury. They might bury down in the mud. That's a known thing that snakeheads do. So
How do you
I think,
breathe?
but I
How
think
do they
behave.
breathe in the mud?
So
I
they
mean, the thing can breathe out on out of the water for 12
so they
hours
actually
too,
have
right,
they actually
yeah.
so they have a they have
But that's
like
the
a
first time I've ever heard that.
they have like a lung essentially they hibernate.
Almost like an air bladder.
Well, they have like all fish have an air bladder, but they almost have like lungs that they can breathe. That's why when you see them come up, they don't have to breathe out of the water, but when in like those places that there's really like nasty places that you find them where like on the Bush River when they're in it's the middle of summer and they're in this much
Yeah.
water and there's no oxygen in there. That's why you see them start breathing out of the water, but. If you notice, like if you're back in the pond in the summertime, you don't see. I mean, every now and then you might see one come up, and
they can live
there's
back here all year
hundreds of them back there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look how many we caught that one day.
Oh my goodness.
We didn't even keep all of them, and
No.
I mean we had them
Yeah,
stacked
I hate
across.
catching them. I don't keep them. I hate they just destroy
Dude,
my
they
lure.
fuck
I'm
all
trying to
your
catch
lures
bass.
up.
I
They
love
destroy
to catch
all your
bass.
lures.
Like, I don't even.
It's fun. Like
I hate snakeheads. I don't eat them. I really don't care about.
They
them.
do
I hope
taste
they
good.
don't. I have like a Andrew does the nuggets things
Yeah.
with them. Like I get it, but yeah, I'd rather
don't-
just not catch them.
I don't mind catching them.
I throw a lot
If
of
I
JVM
had-
baits, all my expensive crankbaits and
Oh,
freaking
yeah.
spinner baits.
No,
Dude, they just ruin everything that
A
you're
chatterbait,
throwing.
they eat the crap out of a chatterbait.
Hell
and they're
yeah.
$15 a piece.
Yeah,
so like,
dude.
I'm with you. I'd rather just not catch them.
I don't mind catching them if like
They
I go
swallow
out.
them bitches too, dude. Like sometimes you can't even get them out.
If I go out wanting to catch them,
Yeah.
like if I go out, if it's summer, it's summertime, bass fishing slow or something.
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
middle of the day.
Catching a frog.
Yeah, I go throw a frog,
Uh-huh.
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's fun. Yeah,
Yeah, it is
but
fun, yeah.
90% of the time, I don't like. I just get annoyed catching them.
Yeah, I'm just.
I caught one last night. And I'm like, I think I have like a 6-pounder on.
Tom
And-
says he pulled over on the highway just to check a statistic. So to check the PowerPoint, you were dead nuts close. 19%. Only 19% of the people surveyed
Use
use forward-facing
forward-facing.
sonar, which that's
that-
crazy to me because I feel like just about every boat that I see out there now at this point's got
And that email went out to everyone
live scope on it.
with a fishing license.
with a
Is
fishing
that-
license.
And so you didn't get a lot of response. Out of
Well,
the
they
people
also
that
put,
had them.
and they also
Because,
po-
I mean,
they also posted it on like their face on their Facebook
I mean,
page
it's tough
and
too
stuff like
because
that.
then you're
so.
talking people who just fish the bank too. That's really hard to determine on like who's actually answering those
Right.
What,
questions.
but what I found the most interesting was that the people who didn't have it thought it had way more of an impact than the people who did have it. So, and I, you know what? I thank Randy Blockhead for that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Randy.
It's the people out there saying that it's going to destroy fisheries and this and that, and like, look,
Randy Blockett on the
We
show
also
next week.
fish in a place where, once again, it's not like
There's
it's
a
a
creel-
shallow water fish. We're like 90% of the fish we're catching are 6
Even-
foot and less.
but even
You know?
anywhere, there's we have creel limits. Like, we have a limit of fish. we can catch.
Yeah.
Whether if I'm going crappie fishing, I'm probably going to catch my limit of crappie whether I have forward facing sonar or not. I'm just going to catch it a little bit faster if I got forward facing.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Yeah, the creel limit's still the creel limit. Like,
right. So I don't
didn't
see how
up
it's going to
that,
destroy
like, you know.
destroy fishing, like, of any species.
Yeah, I don't
and
think
more
it
and bass in general, like it's something like 80% of the people that bass fish catch earlies. There's like 20% of people that catch bass that actually feed. Versus something like walleye, crappie, stuff like that, where it's total opposite, right? 80% of the people are keeping them.
yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. It's a big.
Yeah,
the
I
whole
mean-
debate freaking annoys me, and people
does
make a
me
lot
too.
of people make a lot of speculations without having any kind of data to back it up.
I've had it on my boat for 3 years, and I still feel like I don't know how to use it. I use it to find grass.
Same.
And
Like,
it's
I'm
more effective for me to do that in where we live and fish 99% of the time than to try to go chase around fish that
I've had it on my
could
boat.
be a catfish you're chasing around for a half an hour, like
I've had it on my boat for 2 years, and I feel like I'm just starting to really learn the benefits.
and I haven't put much effort into learning it either. So that's
Shake a
on me.
bear.
Right, because most of the fishing you do is around here.
Yeah, and
You know,
that's
you don't
exactly
travel.
why.
You don't travel that
No,
much.
I don't. And it'll play a part in these next couple big tournaments.
Now
that
you
I
gotta-
have
now
to.
you gotta learn
And
it.
now I feel like I have to learn it, but that's gonna just I'm gonna have to find something comfortable to fish, man.
Right. Exactly. And if you're just a bank fisherman, you watch and listen to social media, you know that it's just evil.
Agreed. Yeah.
We're coming up on that 2-hour mark, fellas.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's about that time.
Yep.
So I think we're gonna call it a night. Let JT get home.
He's
I'm
got a
pretty sure
tournament to fish in the
pretty sure
morning.
he just drove home from Virginia before he came up here. So let him get home, get some sleep. Maybe he can get out.
Thanks
He's
for
got to
having
get
me,
out
man.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Pretty
Thanks
early.
for coming
And
on, man. We
Yeah, of
really
course.
appreciate
Yeah,
you giving
yeah,
us
yeah.
your time and
Yeah.
coming on here to talk.
Yeah.
Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah,
Hope you
thanks,
catch him.
Check out the TBF, man.
Bay's been.
There's a lot of perks to it.
Yeah.
I preach it as much as I can. I try to. Get
I mean, I don't have social media, so I don't really get to preach it, but
I have a podcast.
it's hard to. Yeah.
It helps.
It's hard to.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
find other opportunities like we do here, like we have here. Especially, like I said, we don't have to travel far to fish, for regional events either.
No.
It's all within the.
It's
you know,
either
hour
so.
drive.
Look, so our
The Manicoke's a little farther
our
away.
semifinal is going to be one of three places. It rotates every year. So it's going to be either on the Potomac, it's going to be on the Upper Bay, or it's going to be on the Nanticoke, because that's the three places that have been approved by TBF. So that's where your tournaments are going to be. That's the farthest that you have to travel. The Maryland tournaments, we go to the Upper Bay, we go to the Potomac, we'll go to the Eastern Shore if the semifinals is going to be over there, and we go to Conowingo. So you don't. It's a good trail. You don't have to travel very far. The people are awesome.
Yeah, it's a good group of guys.
A good group
You
of
get to
people.
learn from other
Learn
guys.
from each other. We learn from each other. You get to meet people from other states at the semifinals. That's probably the coolest thing is you get to know those people, and then like I'll be down at the Potomac I was down at the Potomac for Mr. Bass last year, and Delaware was having a TBF tournament down there, so they were staying at the hotel. So I just went out the night before the tournament. I went out and got smashed
I got you.
with those guys.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Did not feel great the first day of the tournament, but I did pretty well. So ended up getting me to the Bass Nation Championship. So maybe I ought to drink a few before every tournament. But anyway, yeah, check out the TBF. If you have any questions, you can contact me. I am the tournament director for Maryland TBF. So reach out to me personally on my Instagram, Facebook, whatever you want to however you want to reach out
What's
to me.
up, Murph?
If
Thanks
you
for
want to reach out to
joining.
the Bass and Beer Facebook, if you're not friends with me on Facebook, reach out to the Bass and Beer. I'll see it.
Is the
and
Fishers
I'll
of
get back
Men?
with you. Fishers of Men. Yeah,
Is that
that's right.
tomorrow? Is that what you're fishing?
No,
No.
I'm fishing Bass Legends.
Bass Legends tomorrow. Okay.
Fisher of Men is out of Haverty Grace tomorrow, if I remember correctly.
Gotcha. Murph, we're getting ready to log off here, but we appreciate you joining at the last second and just giving us some love.
Good luck tomorrow,
And,
Murph.
We're out of here, everybody. Thank you.